Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and what you are about to see is some fairly edited footage. Most of it's going to be sped up at varying amounts, and the reason for this is the large Mongrel Mega Destroyer I made ages back. This is an old ship which has engines behind engines. This was before engine damage was even a thing, and so there's a lot of redundant systems. But all I figured I'd do is go ahead and take two of these ships, set one moving at, about 4 meters per second or so, that's one in the distance, and then have a closer one and hop in there and pilot, and both ships are set to target moving objects. And they have a ton of missile launchers. There should be an annotation on screen if you want to see a full explanation of this ship. This version is slightly edited to have fewer missile launchers, because in the past I had missile launchers behind missile launchers, which now, since they're taller than they used to be, would result in them blowing themselves up for sure. Anyway, well, let's just go ahead and start the combat, shall we? You can see here the turrets spinning around. A lot of them are actually locked on, but they're not firing. And then you start getting these bursts here, which are pretty impressive, but a bit confusing. I think what's happening is there's tons and tons of missiles there. If you look closely, you might be able to see them, but I really doubt it. I can't even really see them. But I think there's just tons and tons of missiles flying between the two ships. And every time one of those impacts, it sets off the missiles near it. So you end up with this sort of huge reactions there of all these missiles going off. It's pretty dang amazing. If you actually look closely, you can even see a few things going off. Well, a second ago, I saw one at least inside the actual main ship on the left, and there was one at the top right there of the other ship. It's pretty impressive. There you go. You can really see all the missiles now zooming in. I'm going to rotate the camera down. You'll actually be able to see a lot of the chaos up close of these missiles just raining into the other ship. It seems to have targeted sort of like the center of mass of the other ship, and not anything too specific. And yeah, oof, you can see it's kind of insane. It almost looks like a flak field with all those explosions going on all over. And there you go, you can see in the middle of the ship I'm piloting some explosions there of, I think it's the turrets actually going ahead and shooting the walls, and there's some crazy silly glitchiness. Still, overall though, it's pretty cool to see these firing. And you might notice things are slowing down a bit. My ship is still going at the same speed it was before, but you can see it seems like the game's just moving a bit slower. Even though my frame rate during this was about 16, you'll see it before I start editing and speeding it up. It actually does look like it's dropping really, really low. Like there you can see those little particles flying past the screen. They look like they're moving at maybe, I don't know, it's pretty dang slow, okay? I'm thinking it's like maybe 5 or 6 frames a second or something, maybe less than that, even though my system is still showing me roughly around 16 or so. So it's a bit weird like that, and I'm using fraps to tell my frame rate there. Okay, I'm going to start speeding up the footage now, since it is getting a wee bit over laggy, I'd say, even if it looks pretty amazing. Alright, so I've gone ahead and sped up the footage to 4 times its normal speed, and you can see it's looking much more like an action-packed war. It's pretty amazing to see all those clouds there, almost to, please excuse my camera movement. You can still see the missiles eking in. They're a bit slow, so really I should probably speed it up a bit more. The ones leaving look about right, and oh my god, look at those volleys going back and forth. That is just incredible. That looks about like a real battle. And you see all those little white specks like zipping all over? Those are sort of like dent impact collisions. I have a sneaking suspicion that that's why the game actually slows down so much. It's just from the high amount of those flying everywhere. My god, look at that battle. Let's go ahead and speed it up a bit more, shall we? Alright, so this is now 8 times original speed. Pretty dang impressive. And you see some blasts going off there off the other side of the ship, away from the ship I'm piloting. Please excuse my camera speeds, they're going to be a bit wonky here with it sped up so much. But you see those blasts there on the wrong side of the ship. That's because as pieces of the ship or missiles missed the ship I'm piloting, the turrets on the left side of my ship would of course then target those and attempt to blow them away. You can see them all launching that huge volley there. It's pretty insane. And you see that big stream there. I'm not exactly sure why that happened, but yeah, you can see lots of strangeness going on in this. It is pretty dang cool. God, I love it. And you see a ton of wreckage of my ship sort of flying out, and right there, did you notice it? It sort of stopped abruptly. When I was playing this, I couldn't tell that everything stopped abruptly, because remember, this is sped up 8 times now. So I couldn't actually tell that my ship had stopped moving. I was just sort of confused. I thought maybe I was just drifting at the same speed as the wreckage in front of me. And I actually left this sitting here for probably about an hour, actually. Just doing nothing, just sitting there. And nothing happened at all. This is what happened. So I'm really quickly going to cut ahead to when I restarted the game. I saved this and then restarted, and you'll see what happens next. And by the way, you can still see all these little white particles zooming by, but nothing much is actually happening as far as I can tell. Okay, so here we go. The second I loaded back in, instantly this is what happened. Just a huge amount of explosions, as if the game's catching up. You can see a ton of gyroscopes floating free, a lot of little target reticles buzzing about all over. And this right here is not actually sped up. This is now going at just normal speed. And yeah, it looks like, you know, as I'm looking around here, look, there's no turrets on that side of the ship. None on this side either. A lot of damage done from the impact. It was actually pretty devastating. And actually, it looks like I made it out of there without actually getting shot. I think a few missiles might have buzzed at me as I was running away, but I didn't really see any. Fairly strange. Anyway, that's about it for this. I buzz it away, and then I stop the ship. What I do is I shut down... Well, I'll tell you in a second, eh? Alrighty, so there we go. This is actually a little bits after I have turned this ship's inertial dampeners on once it got free, and it stopped. And I have also gone ahead and copied and pasted the other ship that was out there to stop it, basically. And I've actually gotten on board it and shut down its weapon system because it actually had a few weapons left, which I don't believe this one has any left, as we probably saw on the outside. Here on the bridge, you can see somewhere a cockpit popped loose. I can't quite see where it came from, frankly. Oh wait, look, looks like it was right here. Yeah, there's a small hole. And you can see the inside here is pretty torn up. I'm suspecting that a missile might have sort of phased through it, considering all the weirdness. All it takes is one or two things to get free from maybe here, and then all of a sudden the missiles could get in or start phasing and loose stuff flying about. So the interior here is pretty badly torn up. If we fly down a bit more, you can see looks like the whole center point of the ship is just missing, basically. It's almost like the missiles made it in from the back, but I don't remember seeing any really get through. But maybe that's what happened, because Jesus Christ, coming into the back of the ship, it's just torn apart in here. It's just wreckage. Possible they came through the bottom there too, but I can't exactly tell. It's just such a dang mess inside here. You can see that we still have a fair few reactors flowing. Remember, this is an older ship, so there's lots of interior engines and reactors not hooked up with conveyors and stuff. Let's see, let's go outside again and look at some of this wreckage. Oh, this is actually one of the walkways. Ah, this was one of the sleeping areas in the ship, completely devastated. Very unfortunate. You can actually see the walkways leading up to the bridge though, and some of the storage for ammunition is still intact on the bottom. Very interesting, but let's carry on up here. The stairs. There should have been, yes, a little door right here leading to the respawn room for the bridge crew. It looks like I powered down the doors. There we go. Oh, there's a second door, because of course it was supposed to be pressurized safe area. Let's go ahead and turn that one on and open it. Yeah, it looks like that area might have survived. I can't actually seem to get in there. But if I'm a little bit more mistaken, there might have actually been some damage over here too. Let's go ahead and pop these doors open real quick. Fly in there. There we go. Yeah, okay, yep, it wasn't quite as safe as I thought. There is definitely a hole here in the bottom. Yeah, so that's torn up, but it looks like the stairwell leading up to the bridge area is still somewhat intact, out of all things. Yeah, and you can see that the bridge survived pretty well on this ship. It's depressurized like hell, but it's still there. The control seat was still there, even after all that bombardment. Let's go ahead and fly out of this opening in the ceiling here. And onto the exterior of the ship. From the outside, it actually looks pretty bad, doesn't it? You can see all these areas here were just devastated. I have a suspicion that a lot of the missile turrets, you couldn't really tell, but I think when they fired, their missiles exploded on these support beams here, and that might have been what happened to a lot of them, just taking themselves out. Very, very unfortunate. God, it looks like some sort of earthquake just tore it in half. Jesus. And of course there's still some things targeting stuff that shouldn't even be possible, so I don't know what's going on with those. But yeah, the ship has been completely torn open here. The inside is a wreck. It still somehow functions, but not exactly brilliantly. And if we were to fly into one of these little weapons areas here, where the weapons were supposed to be set up, it's all been pretty badly mangled, but I suspect we can actually maybe even get into this hallway here. Let me try to get through this door. And I should actually go ahead and turn on the interior lights too, because I shut those off for latency purposes. And doors, let's go ahead and just turn them all on and tell them all to open. Yeah, it looks like you could probably, well, you'd be dead, but yeah, there's some of the hallways here left. And then it just sort of stops into this wreckage. Jesus Christ, this ship got mangled. Blimey. Okay, let's go ahead and head out. Check out the other side of the ship. Looks pretty good. This was the side of the ship that was actually facing away from the other ship. And you can see there's some damage. All the turrets are, strangely enough, gone. I'm confused as to how that exactly happened. That one looks like it probably blew itself up or took a missile through that open area. There's a lot of damage here, but not as much as the other side. And a lot of these just seem to be gone. I wonder if maybe when I... No, they should have been there. I don't know how exactly they all vanished. Let's check out the back of the ship. Lost a few engines there. A few engines have been damaged and shut down. A whole lot are actually missing there. There's engines behind engines because it was an older ship. And what do we got there? More just missing stuff. It got pretty badly mangled overall. Dang, and look at that. It looks almost like something just reached in there and stretched its arm all across the side here and tore it apart. And down here, much the same. A lot of damage done here. A whole lot of damage done. You can actually see up into the bowels of the ship. Pretty badly damaged. And let's go ahead and look at the very front. I doubt there's anything really done up there, since the front of the ship seems to have avoided most of the damage. Yeah, it's looking pretty good up here, isn't it? Captain's quarters, or I say captain's quarters, the bridge still looks pretty alright from the exterior, at least from the front. As we fly around the side, it even looks pretty good on this side. It's the other side that somehow took the most damage. Actually, no, the other side was the one that should have taken the most damage, wasn't it? Because it was getting bombarded. Jesus. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at the other ship. Like I said earlier, I copied it and pasted it to stop it from moving, and then got inside and shut down all of its turret systems, because it, unlike the ship we were just at, still has some functional turrets on it. So I've just shut them off. So let's go ahead and get close. And as I'm approaching it, I can't actually tell if there's damage or if it's just lighting. No, this side looks to be pretty much intact, except for it's also missing a fair few turrets. Again, I'm suspecting that these turrets blew themselves up in some sort of stupid way that the system cannot detect that it's actually aiming at a wall, so that needs to be sorted out eventually, but I can't be sure. That's what I'm suspecting, since I flew the ship over that way. It looks like they probably took aim of it once it got around here and somehow figured they'd miss and hit that, and apparently took themselves out in the process. Very unfortunate. Let's see if there's any actually intact. There's a few that were still intact when I shut them down. Very interesting. And then let's actually go ahead and land in here. Its front area has been torn open. I don't think that happened on the other ship. And this one, though, we can go ahead and head down the center hallway. It actually looks somewhat intact. Let's go ahead and turn on all the lights. Missile turrets. Let's turn those back on, but tell them not to target anything. And then interior lights, turn those on, gravity generators, and let's just turn on the doors and open them again. That way we can walk around, and looks like there's actually some storage rooms here that survived. Pretty sure this whole area of the ship was devastated in the previous one. We'll find out as we go through here. It's actually pretty well intact. This ship was, of course, the one that was being attacked. The ship I was piloting, I would consider the attacker, since it came in on this one. And this thing seems pretty... I don't know, there's a lot of rooms here that are damaged, even pierced, but they still look like rooms, actually. Let's see, let's carry on down this hallway. Oop, and it gets worse, of course. Okay, yeah. I'm still impressed at the fact that there's a few rooms here that look like rooms. Now we're getting to the area that everything's pretty torn up, but if we were to continue down this center path, it looks like a few of these doors are just broken since they should have opened. But looks like you could have made it your way into here. The main medical areas are still intact in storage. One of the sleeping rooms, ceiling got torn up, but the actual room itself is still pretty intact. Let's see about the other one over here. Much the same. Actually, this one looks like it fared pretty well. Only a little bit of damage up there. Dang, this ship fared very well compared to the other one. And then the last few rooms back here, these are just the sort of mess hall and recreational rooms. I'd say no damage in those, shockingly enough. And then this little airlock here is there still. And then, of course, you reach the hangar bay. And, of course, in the other ship, we were able to see pretty much straight through the whole thing from there. So it makes me think that maybe when I was retreating with the other one, a bunch of missiles did manage to make their way straight up and in there. Ugh, blimey, that is a lot of damage. Let's see, along here, this is the side that was being bombarded by the other ship if it was successfully firing. You see all the turrets seem to have taken themselves out, and there is a fair amount of damage. Oh my goodness, look at the bridge! The bridge has been completely torn open in a lot of areas. The seats appear to be all intact, which is a change from the other one where we actually lost one, but the windows and actual overall structural integrity of the bridge here is much worse off. I mean, look at this, it's torn up. But the actual overall interior of this ship, I would say, is fared much better. I mean, these are those stairs we were on the other one, and there's where the door that led to the emergency medical respawn room is. Dang, this fared worse, but the actual rest of the ship, you could argue, is, as long as you can still pilot the ship, the rest of the ship is more important than just the bridge. And even though it's torn up pretty badly, let's go ahead and cut our way through here a little bit. Let me just switch to a block. There we go, that way it's a bit easier to cut through. There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of the ship that has survived pretty well. It's the way we were coming earlier now. I'm flying back. I'm actually surprised at how well the ship has survived. After walking through the other one and seeing how devastated it was, I didn't expect to find much here at all. I mean, you can kind of make out the stairwell that led down to the ammunition area. And a large portion of the ammunition and storage area is still intact down here. Wow, it's a big difference from the other one. Big difference. Blimey. And there's another working missile turret there. Looks like there might be a few back here. Yep, there's a few. Wow, there's still got a fair few over here, actually. There's some damage here. Again, I'm suspecting some of this was caused by turrets blowing themselves up. Dang. Well, that's it, guys. I'd say that this ship fared much better than the other one. It was the one that was being attacked, though, so I guess that makes a bit more sense that the one being attacked would have a better chance of surviving, at least in this game. But, yeah, that's about it, guys. The ships had a bit of a fight. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.